Welcome back to my channel. Today we're going to be making things smaller. So a few years ago, somehow, somewhere, I acquired two of these Minolta 16 cameras. They are subminiature size, which means they use smaller than 35mm. It's a little bit different than Minox, or Minox, however you want to say it. That's 9.2mm size film. This is 16mm, which means you can go out and just get 16mm film for any of the movie cameras that are out there that use it. Perforated, non-perforated, doesn't really matter. The perforations may encroach on the very borders of the image, but don't worry about it. I got 50D, Kodak 50D movie film from Film Photography Project. They sell it in 25-foot lengths. You just have to load it into the film holder yourself, which are these little guys. And I bought just a 4-pack of these holders off of eBay from Robert's Camera on eBay. They're up in Indianapolis. And they're easy to load. It's super simple. You just have to do it in complete darkness. And you can get color film, you can get black and white film. I will note, before we move on about the camera, that with this film, it does have the remjet coating, which needs to be removed before you process it in C41 chemicals. Well, before ECN2 as well, but definitely before C41, because it will mess up your C41. And I don't use the baking soda method. I don't feel like that's enough. So I got the actual Kodak PB2 pre-bath formula and mixed that up. And it's just 3 simple ingredients. Borax, 3 mule or 10 mule. Where is it? No, 20 mule. More mules than I thought. 20 mule borax from the grocery store. Lye, which is just drain cleaner, again, from the grocery store. And then a pound of sodium sulfate. Not sulfite. That's different. Sulfate. Sodium sulfate. I bought a pound of lab grade anhydrous from Amazon. $15. So those 3 ingredients plus water, and you can make up the PB2 formula, get rid of the pre-bath, and do your process. Either C41 for a contrastier, denser image with just a slight speed boost, or the ECN2 formula, a little bit lower contrast, a little bit lower density, box speed. Either way would be just fine. Now the film they sell is unperforated, so you get the full image. I've got my sample right here. So full image, non-perforated, and you can go from there. You get about 20 shots with a fully loaded cassette. So let's take a look at this camera. They are fully manual. You're not going to be doing any sort of auto adjustment or anything like that, auto exposure. You go from 2.8 up to f16 on the lens with shutter speeds of 30th of a second to 500th of a second, as well as bulb. Now, this is the Minolta 16 version 2. The older model may have a little bit different top shutter speed and aperture. But for this particular one, those are the speeds. It does have a flash sync, does function, and once it's loaded up, it's very easy to use. You simply cock the shutter by pulling it open, fire it, push it closed, pull it open again for the next shot. It does not have a rangefinder. It is simply a viewfinder window. It has supplementary lenses, so that's the hardest challenge with this camera. The focus. It does not naturally focus to infinity, especially wide open. Now, the manual does have some distance guides in it for kind of hyperfocal distance, I suppose, depending on how you stop down and which supplementary lens you use. But even if you follow those guides, as you'll see from my examples, getting a sharp image is difficult at best. You really have to be... well, I don't even know what to tell you. I don't know if it's a diffraction issue, if it's just a quality of lens issue. There is one image... it is capable of a sharp image. I do have one, maybe two. The rest, just slightly off, and that could just be the feature of the camera. But the supplementary lenses will allow you to either get full infinity focus with the number 0 lens. Number 1 gives you closer focus, and number 2 gives you very close focus. They just simply slide in and off, and you have to keep up with them. If you have the case, it has pockets for the supplementary lenses, and you're good to go. There's no tripod mount, but there is a tripod mount adapter. Yeah, I've got it right here. So it's this little bracket, and you simply open it, put it on the camera, and clip it on. Now you have a flash cold shoe, which you can then sync with the flash sync port, and the tripod socket on the bottom. And that gives you a fully ranged camera in that regard. Now these are easy to carry. Obviously it fits in your hand, very, very small. The extension, nice and smooth. You take off the top cover with a little button on the bottom to open it up and to get into the film area where you can load the cassette. The shutter button right here, and you can go. Just a little vertical shot, horizontal. It's pretty nice. It does have a wrist strap, and there you go. And yes, I have two of them. One of them I bought from a flea market, I guess, I think for like $9, and the other was given to me by somebody in my wife's family. I don't know, I don't remember who, but somebody had one. And they both work pretty well. Just like, I mean, Minolta stuff. These are from the 60s. And I gotta say, Minolta made stuff to last. These have never been serviced, and they still have very snappy shutters, very smooth motion, and I really can't complain about that. It's just, the focus is a problem. The focus is difficult. And I have more just slightly out of focus shots than I have focused. But I've only shot 3 rolls of film through this, so I'm not going to say that I am an expert on this camera and what its capabilities are. But it's a fun camera to use. It certainly gives you that like spy camera feel if you want to play around with that sort of thing. The images, they are small, but they can give you pretty decent size. I mean, think about movies. There are plenty of movies out there that are filmed on 16mm at smaller frames than what this produces, because those frames run horizontally across the film, not the length, but perpendicular to the length of the film. And those movies are projected on giant screens, and they look fantastic. Look at Black Swan. That was filmed on 16mm. Every season of The Walking Dead filmed on 16mm. So the film itself, really good resolution, really good quality, and it doesn't have to be big to have a good quality picture. Now, whether or not this lens can produce a good quality picture, well, that's something that we'll have to just discover as we use it more and more. But for playing around, having a good pocket-sized camera to just get in there and go, it's a fun little treat. Will it take experience to learn the correct focal distance, since there's no means of focusing this other than the accessory lenses, yeah. Really, I would have to go, I think, probably spend 1 or 2 cassettes worth of film, so potentially 20 shots or so so 20 to 40 shots. I think of really just methodically working on focus to see what I can get in focus and what I can't. And probably using the tripod mount to ensure that I'm not getting any kind of focus shake. Now, focus shake, you're holding it and getting camera shake, camera movement, theoretically, this is a 22 millimeter lens, and therefore the 30th of a second shutter speed should keep me from getting any camera shake. But does it really? I don't know. But even so, shooting out on a sunny day with 50 speed film, that's 60th of a second at f/16. I shot a little more wide open, therefore a little bit faster than 60th of a second, and I still did not get perfectly sharp images. So do we have the highest quality lens? I don't know. But this is just playing around. This is just to show you what this camera is, if you've never used one, what it's potentially capable of. Are there things that I think I could improve? Sure. I've only done 3 rolls through here, so I'm sure there's probably a lot I could do that's better. When it comes to processing, as I said, you can do ECN2 or C41, but the more important thing is having the correct size reel. It's not going to fit on a standard 35mm reel. So I'm using Jobo equipment, so I got a Jobo 1502. I have to look at the box in my trash can. Yeah, 1502. So you can still get these reels new. Easy to load. They'll take 2 of the cassettes worth, so this will do 2 full cameras worth. And then a small Jobo tank will take 2 reels. A medium tank like this size will take 4, and they can give you up to 8 cassettes worth of film developed all at the same time. So easy to load. Actually, this was super easy. This is the easiest plastic loading reel I've ever used. The other option, there are some stainless steel reels if you really want to use a stainless steel tank. They're out there. Expect to pay around $50 for a single reel. That's just the reality right now. I can't change that. But that is about the current rate. But if you consider how much it would cost to send one of these cassettes to a lab for processing and scanning, by the time you get 2 or 3 of those done, you've spent about $50. So if you're into the home darkroom, go ahead and just get yourself a reel. It's an investment and you'll be fine. The 3 that I did pretty much paid for this reel just in saving those processing fees, both mailing, processing, scanning, and mailing back. So it's not too bad. You do have to be careful with these though. They can be a little hard to find and a little pricey if you do, but they could probably use new felt. I feel like I'm getting some fogging on the very end of the reel when I take it out of the camera. You can see that here. So all of this is good until I get to this portion, and then I've just got fog. And that would have been the last portion of the film, so potentially fogged after it's rolled into the into that cassette. So be careful with those. If you can't find them, there are 3D printed ones available. However, the light tightness of those is very suspect, so just be aware. So that's about it for that quick little intro review. There's a lot about this camera that we could talk about that honestly I don't have the full range of experience to go into, but for a quick introduction, I feel like this camera works pretty well. How much of it is user error? I don't know. I want to play around with it more, and we may have a follow-up some point in the future. And maybe just a video on the testing for focus to see if, 1, there is an improvement available, and 2, if you feel like you need to do something like that, it gives you an idea of maybe how you might want to test. We'll consider doing that. But if you want to get into subminiature, these cameras go really cheap. they are pretty darn reliable. Minolta's a good camera maker. They did a really good job making these. So chances are if you get one off eBay or something like that, it's going to work pretty well. The only thing is finding those cassettes, which again, they're on the used market, so you'll find one, maybe 2, maybe 3. I've got 4, who knows. And then getting a processing reel if you're going to do it yourself. Other than that, the film is not that expensive. I think I paid $35 for the 25-foot roll, and it's going to give me about 18 inches, so 25, not quite a dozen, well no, a little bit more than a dozen, right? Something like 15 cameras worth, somewhere in there. So that's pretty good. That's not too expensive. It's going to be about $2 per cassette worth of film. That's not bad. And if I find that I'm shooting it a lot, I can probably just get a 100 or 400 foot roll directly from Kodak and then just go from there. So they're fun little cameras. I highly recommend grabbing one if one's available to you just to play with. They're great little pocket cameras, and really just getting out there and making photographs is the best way to make better photographs. So get out there, go have some fun, and make some of those fun photographs.